The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the pit complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Dewey Rice in a land down under, where one succeeds and all less blunder. Can you hear the engine's thunder? You better run, you better tight cover. Because the iRacing Drivers Association has come to Phillip Island for round 7 on the 15-event GT3 series schedule. And all the action will be brought to you from Pace Lap to Victory Donuts live that happened here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. This quarter-hour streaming award-worthy show will count us down to the rolling start when our field of Mercedes, BMWs, Audis, McLarens, and Fords accelerate into Doohan, the sweeping right-hander that will be the first corner in a 60-minute contest. So bring cyberspace into your place. Crack open a Schweppes and wash down a Vegemite sandwich. Put your feet up and enjoy 1 hour of simulated sports car excitement that will be streaming your way. G'day mate, and welcome to another GSRC broadcast. I'm your host, Bill Soups On. Adventuring once again into the land of little sleep is the host of the popular British American's Guide to This Weekend in Motorsports, Samuel Ryman. Back from his expedition across the Utah Salt Flats is our director, Joe Peak, and at his disposal will be the camera locations provided by Ansel Adams of iRacing. Dougie Beard. The broadcast is made possible thanks to the good folks at Screwed Gamers, Kart Action Media, and Zanardi Course Australia. And to keep things interesting, 500 Queen Lizzies are in the prize pool. If you were with us last time for round 6, the Super Sprint event from Barbara, you saw Richard Greeneggs and Hampstead sweep the morning and afternoon heats, and then, not surprisingly, follow that up with a win in the main event for the points. For Greeneggs, it was his 5th consecutive top point score. Gary Spiral Sliced Hamilton maneuvered his Ford into 2nd, and Simon Fiegel took 3rd. It was the best finish so far for both Hamilton and Fiegel. Sam, usually this track gives the Aussies a home track advantage, but when the entire series hails from down under, I'm not sure anyone will have an edge. That said, what does Phillip Island have in store?
Oh, well, crikey, mate. Bill, you're definitely right about the drivers here. Who could it be knocking on the winner's door? Will it be Richard Hampstead, or will someone else score? Who will it be now? Who will it be now? We're about to find out here at Phillip Island. It's a 12-turn, 2.7 mile. That's 4.4 kilometre circuit. A very popular one among drivers, especially Australians, as you mentioned. However, it doesn't always present the best overtaking opportunities, but it's ups, downs, undulations. They all make it a very fun roller coaster, almost a roller coaster ride for all of these drivers, even if they are all upside down. To prove to you that Australia is not all flat, let's take a look yourself with our GSRC lap guide.
Alright, we've got Kevin Brown in the GSRC BMW, so let's do a lap around Phillip Island. Doohan is up first, a ridiculously fast right-hand sweeper. Passes can be possible, but you need the draft to pull you fully alongside your rival. The embankment will help you keep your speed, so tuck it in tight. Drift wide and there's miles of sand trap to navigate. From there, the southern loop shows up immediately, and like many corners around here, it's a decreasing radius. As if that weren't frustrating enough, just to keep you on your toes, there's a nice crest right when you want to get on the power. This is actually a really important place to nail your exit, because after Stoner right here, you're braking heavily for Honda Corner. This is pretty much your best and only safe passing spot on the track. Everything else will be a very tricky proposition. From there, we head uphill to Siberia. Once again, there's lots of banking here, but your best bet is to square this one off with a late apex. That's because while we climb up the high side of the track and blast through 7 and 8, we won't let off the accelerator until we hit Lukey Heights. You really cannot see what's coming as you come around this long, climbing, 180-degree turn. So if chaos unfolds in front of you, you're blind. Keep it tucked inside once again so you can get set up for the other hairpin of 10. Guys will be overshooting this corner all day with a steep downhill braking zone. Weirdly, you don't want to track out because right away you've got the left-hander of 11. You'll be tentative on the gas until you get to the short blast to 12. Then feather the throttle around this heavily banked final turn. Get that sole to the floor as soon as you dare because now we're dumped onto the Gardner Straight. As long as you didn't push wide, that is a lap around Phillip Island.
And there's a lap around Phillip Island. Now, before we get to the points, let me say that this week the GSRC stat boys, Simon and Poindexter, were seen strutting happily through the lighted hallways at the GSRC complex, quite proud of their Excel prowess that allowed them to easily produce the upcoming standings overlay, which take into account the one drop race that the IDA rules allow. So right now, let's take a look at those numbers seen here for the very first time. Coming off his 5th consecutive win, including a double points enduro at Spa, Richard Greeneggs and Hampstead has increased his margin to second from 215 to 265 points. Simon Fiegel's 3rd place last time was enough to move him ahead of Justin Strickland. Michael Healy held station in 4th while Jeremiah Salty Morden sprinkled his way into the top 5. What makes Hampstead's score even more dominating is he has 120 points in his pocket, meaning a no-show or a disastrous performance will be replaced with a whopping 120-point results. Let's go ahead, moving now to the team standings. Again, remember these numbers take into account the dropped race. To butcher a line from the treasure of Sierra Madre, Richard Hampstead says, "I don't need no stinking partner." Yep, Greeneggs is doing it by himself, and Barber win was enough to move Team TTL back into the lead. John Peacenik and Scott Tamlin have Element Motorsports up a spot into 2nd, while Evolution Racing Australia 3, manned by Zachary Hanlon and Riley Blythe, fall from the top into 3rd. Jackson Freer and Jeremiah Salty Morden keep Lit Motorsports in 4th. Martin Slavasi and Mark Simon could not make a big Barber score, and Apex Mafia drops out of the top 5, making room for Clint Smith and Nathan Waddell's Kart Action Media Racing. So Sam, as always, we've talked about the driver's points, the team points, all positive, but there are some drivers that got their hands slapped.
Yeah, well, they've got a pretty neat penalty system set up here, Bill, in my opinion. Quite simply, the more incident points you accumulate, the more actual points you lose. For every 15 incident points you get, you lose 10 actual points. So if you hit 30 incident points, you lose 20, and if you go above 45, you lose 30 actual points, and for this race you will be disqualified. With that regard, Zachary Hanlon, Jeremiah Morton and Scott Tamlin all lost 10 in the last round at Barber. Tamlin also lost an additional 15 points for causing an avoidable incident in Barber, as did Draxon Freer and Martin Silvazzi. Definitely an interesting way here for them to punish their wrongdoers, Bill. I remember in England when we didn't like someone, we just send them here. But right now, all of these drivers are here, and let's talk about this upcoming race. There's 5 different kinds of GT cars you can pick from. You've got the Mercedes, BMW, Audi, McLaren and Ford. No one has gone with the BMW this season, and in fact, Gary Hamilton is the only driver who has gone with the Ford. You can't switch cars between races. Hamilton actually doing quite good in qualifying right now in 3rd. McLarens as well, there's only a couple of those, but they're usually towards the front, Justin Strickland and John Peisnick. The rest of the field are made up of Mercedes and Audis. Open setups for these drivers, it'll be a 60-minute standard format, standard points race, but the fuel is limited to 70%, so that means these drivers will all have to make one stop. They're currently doing an open 30-minute qualifying. You see in the top left corner of your screen there, we've got about 2 minutes of it left. We'll read out the grid for you here momentarily. No fast repairs in this series. However, the good thing about Phillip Island, plenty of runoff area where you can get your car slowed down before you hit something. There is that incident cap of 46 points, as we mentioned earlier, that, you know, you could lose. You're going to be worrying about your actual points a lot more before you ever reach that point. The weather is a dynamic afternoon weather here, and what that means down under is it is very hot, 108 degrees Fahrenheit. These drivers have been complaining about the slick track temperatures, not a lot of grip in practice, and to add to it, you've also got a 10-mile-an-hour wind, which could push a couple of the cars off course.
And just a couple follow-ups things. We're going to watch for Joshua Rogers. He is a wild card driver coming in racing under the TTL colors. And then we have another one here. Let's see who it is. Let's see if I can find it. Ben Darley Jr. is also a wild card coming in, making his appearance here today. And then hopefully maybe we'll become a full-time driver. Apologies to all the viewers if your retinas are hurting from the background there on that penalty graphic. That certainly was red. We'll try to tone that down next time to you so it doesn't hurt your monitors. Sam, I always ask you this, if you were a ticket-buying customer, where would you like to sit here at Phillip Island? This is a fun track to watch a race.
Well, I've always said I want to sit somewhere around the first turn, Bill, for any kind of road course, just so I can see the run down into the first corner. I think if there's a couple grandstand sections around there, you also get a good view of turn 2 here. Turn 2 on Phillip Island on iRacing, no matter what series you run in, it is always tricky. You will see at least one car probably spin out there in any kind of race you have on iRacing, just because of the way you kind of have to pitch a car in the entrance, and with the high track temperatures here, pitching a car into a high-speed turn like that doesn't always guarantee you're going to exit the corner.
What I like about Phillip Island, and we're just about to go to the qualifying here, is if you take that defensive line down into 1, it tempts you on the outside, the guy making the pass, to maybe go on the outside and give him the preferred position into 2. If you leave the inside open in 1, he ducks in there, and then you got some excitement going on there as well. Let's go ahead and do the run down the grid now for you.
It looks like they've added an extra 2 minutes here, Bill. Once the checkered flew, iRacing has added an extra couple minutes for some of these drivers to finish up their lap.
Doing their hot laps, absolutely. Let's see if we have how many drivers here today. A little like we talked about, Sam, 23 only, 24 names on the list. We expected it to be a little bigger than that, considering that this is a big attraction if you're racing from Australia.
Yeah, and it was only 23 until just a few moments ago. Philip Wallace has not been in practice, he has not been in qualifying, he just joined the session. I'm not even sure if he'll have enough time to set a qualifying lap, so it'll be interesting to see if he can work his way through the field, because he'll probably be starting at the back there. Currently watching one of our 2 McLarens on course, Justin Strickland, he's qualified 8th. Him and Warren Pickering are the only 2 cars left on the track.
And Sam and I both, before we went live, we were noting that Peacenik in a McLaren and Hamilton in the Ford were at the top of the chart. And then, of course, I guess it is no surprise when we bring up the graphics here in just a second that we're going to see Richard Greeneggs and Hampstead up there at the top as usual. He is something else. If I look over here on my timing and scoring, I can get an iRating number for him. Yeah, it's huge. It's like it's above 7,000. Your next best driver out there as far as iRating, which is a rating that iRacing uses to kind of give these guys kind of like that chess rating. If you're a chess player, you know what I'm talking about. Peacenik's rating is just under 5,000. So Hampstead clearly the man to beat, and if he's proving that iRating true with 5 consecutive wins, looking to go 6 for 6. Okay, we can go ahead now. It's a rolling start, so we'll take this a row at a time, Sam. And as we talked about, up on top in the front row, it's Richard Hampstead. Outside of him in his McLaren, it's John Peacenik. Sam?
Yeah, and then you've got Gary Hamilton lined up in second place there alongside Zachary Hanman.
Scott Tamlin, who got slapped on the wrist quite heavily the last race, hoping to be a little cleaner today inside of row 3. Mark Rayner outside.
Joshua Rogers is in 7th place with Justin Strickland in 8th position, rounding out that row. He's one of those McLarens.
Row 5 is made up of Martin Slavasi and Warren Pickering.
Then we move on to the 6th row here on the second page. We've got Jackson Freer lined up alongside Riley Blythe in the middle of the field.
Then, going to the 13th position, David Jellings. Outside of him, Jeremiah Salty Morden.
Shane Smith. Clint Smith is a driver who does a lot, runs a series basically. He'll be starting in 15th place alongside Nino Natel.
And it's TJ Brown, not JT Brown. Save that $5 into the GRSC mistake jar on that one. JT Brown in the 17th position. Phil Gadd outside of him in 18th.
Nathan Waddell and Aaron Farmer rounding out the top 20, just 2 rows behind them.
Hidden blackjack on the qualifying grid is Mark Simon and our wildcard driver Ben Darley Jr. in the 22nd spot.
Zachary Logan set the slowest qualifying time. He was also slowest in practice, so he'll be wanting to keep his car on the track and salvage some points that way, I'm sure. Phillip Wallace, how fast will he be? We're not really sure. He wasn't in practice or qualifying. He rounds out the back of the field.
And let's actually see it. I haven't seen Phillip actually take the grid yet, so hopefully he'll get out there. We'd like to see what he can do from the back of the pack. Drivers are still gridding up on the... This is a rolling start. I'm very positive about this, so let's see if there's a pace car out there in front of them. There we go. We did a race the other day that was supposed to be a rolling start, and actually they did a standing start, which was very exciting. If you want to catch an exciting beginning to a race, go to globalsimracingchannel.com and find the archive races there for the Autobahn Motor Car Sports Car Series. For Sports Car Challenge. An exciting opening few laps. In fact, stick with us for the whole race. That's a great series. Okay, but meanwhile, we're looking here as the pace car takes them through Doohan on this beautiful Phillip Island course. I love this course not only scenically, but also competitively as well. It seems to never fail to put on a good show.
Yeah, right as the cars rolled off the grid, you saw Phillip Wallace appear in his pit stall. The rest of the 23 cars were all on the grid. They're not anymore. Scott Tamlin has taken a tow to the pits and he'll start there. And Joshua Rogers also just disappeared from the grid. I'm worried that might be a connection issue for our wildcard entry because he's been having a few in practice.
Well, the bad news is they will start from the back of the field. The good news is they'll have one pace lap more of fuel in their car, so if you want to try to find a silver lining in that big black cloud, that's probably it. We're looking at one pit stop like Sam talked about earlier today. It should be a fairly large pit window. We'll keep an eye on that as they work their way through what we found out to be called the MG corner. Actually, they're not. There we go. Now they're working their way around the back side of the track, getting close to the start of the race.
Yeah, in this race, it's a timed race, 1 hour, but these drivers have been turning laps of about 1 minute 30 during practice and qualifying, so that means this race, if you like to go by laps, will be about 40 laps long. Of course, we'll keep you abreast of that as the clock ticks down in the closing minutes. Confirmation that Joshua Rogers has lost the connection. He'll try and get back so he can get in his pit stall and not lose a lap.
Pace car working its way around the final corner now, looking for it to duck in here. I'm sorry. Let me get caught up. There we go, down into the MG corner. Figure out where I'm sitting on the track here. Learn my corners right now during this pace lap so I don't misidentify them during the race. Let's go ahead and look at the car out in front. That light blue machine out there is Hampstead. Keep an eye on him. Starting from what's going to be on driver right of the front row, Peacenik in that McLaren next to him. Now the pace car has tucked in. Hampstead pacing the field. All the drivers nicely bunched up. There's the green. A nice jump from Peacenik. Gather up the chickens, take cover behind the cows. The horses are out of the barn, and Peacenik leads the field down in, and we got a big wreck behind him.
Yeah, Justin Strickland, David Jennings, Warren Pickering, another car was involved. 4 cars went off stage left before they even got to the first corner.
Jackson Freer also involved in there. We'll see if we can come back and get that a little bit later.
Oh, and there's been another incident in the second turn. Nathan Waddell, Nino Natel, and TJ Brown, I believe, was involved.
So that's 7 cars in trouble as we look for the battle up front as we stay with it. We're not going to do the replay right now. Peacenik fending off Hanlon now, who's up into second. Hamilton in third. We look for Hampstead, who has dropped from the front row back into fifth position.
Yeah, Hampstead got an absolutely terrible start. That's what we would have been talking about if half the field hadn't been behind him. He's trying to make a turn. He makes contact with Hamilton.
There just was no room there, and there they get caught up. And they also collected in there now is that black machine of, that looks like it was, let's even get that, Salty Morton got caught up in that one. Boy, what an eventful first lap, as now I got my list up to 10 drivers involved in incidents even before they make it around to the first, through the final corner.
Yeah, finally they complete lap one. John Posnick leading the field. And boy, that is probably the ugliest start, the ugliest opening lap we have ever seen in this series. These drivers usually put on a clean show. You'd think they'd all be on their toes with the high track temperatures, but boy, they were racing each other from the drop of the green. It did not work out well for a lot of them.
Clint Smith has worked his way up to we're looking at him in 6th position, starting from 16th. He is really moving.
I feel we need to do a race rundown here, Bill, already.
I think...
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and do it now. Your driver out in front, considerably up by 3 seconds, John Pesnick. Mark Rayner in 2nd place. He started in 6th. Look at him up there. Riley Blythe started in 12th position, is up to 3rd. My goodness. Zachary Hanlon running in 4th.
Yeah, car upside down next in Siberia. It's Ben Darley Jr. He lands on his wheels. He's going to try and drive it back to the pits.
We'll catch that on the replay.
Yeah, there was a big pack of cars running around 10th place there, Bill. A couple of drivers who have picked up a lot of positions in the opening lap, as we were just mentioning, because of all the incidents. Now they're beginning to pull back a little bit, and that kind of stacked traffic up here, and it ultimately led to Ben Darley Jr. paying the price.
There are no fast repairs, so I got a hunch that may be the end of his day. Maybe he'll try to bring it back out. Actually, probably not a bad idea to bring that back out. A lot of these cars that are damaged might try to come back out, try to pick up some points from the attrition. Let's continue with that rundown. I think we got through let's go up to 3rd there. We had Riley Blythe in 3rd. We're going to go through this quickly because the action is so intense. Zachary Hanlon in 4th. Martin Slavasi in 5th position. Richard Hampstead started on the pole back to 6th, but it's good to see that car still out there. Aaron Farmer running in 7th. Then your top 10 will round it out here with Jeremiah Morton in 8th. Shane Smith, we talked about him making his way up into 9th. And then the final car in the top 10, Phil Gadd, started 18, up 10 spots.
Well, usually when half a field gets wiped out on the first lap, Bill, that means you're in for a pretty boring rest of a race. I don't think that's the case here, because Richard Hampstead, although he's in 6th place, is only 8 to 9 seconds back of our leader, John Pesnick. With Hampstead having won the last 5 races in a row, he's got an hour to see how much time he can make up. It's going to be interesting, seeing if he can pick off another win here.
Don't know how damaged his car is. Of course, he has one pit stop to make. He can come in on his first available opportunity, maybe get some of that picked up. But he looks pretty good. Let's talk about some of the drivers that are out of it. Ben Darling, look, he's still in the pits. Maybe he'll come back out. Big names, Justin Strickland, Warren Pickering, David Jellings, TJ Brown, all out of the race. Yeah.
Gary Hamilton was the other driver involved in that incident with Richard Hampstead on the first lap. The incident on the first lap, I mean the 3rd incident on the first lap. And he has dropped back to 14th position in that McLaren, and he seems to be struggling with damage more so than what Richard Hampstead is. He's a bit off the pace here, so we're going to keep an eye on him. That doesn't mean he can't get back in it. Maybe he's just got to learn how to re-drive his car right now. It's handling a bit different.
Let's go up to P2 right now as you have Mark Rayner. I think he's holding up Riley Blythe and Zachary Hanlon. Now, we've seen Zachary Hanlon in many races really fast, has a hard time bringing the car home clean, usually runs races better than he finishes. So we'll keep an eye on that number 223 machine running back there. 3rd in line, 4th overall right now.
Riley Blythe needs to watch our broadcasts, man, because he almost attempted the same thing Hampstead
Absolutely.
did. Yeah, and it's going to backfire on him. He loses out in turn 10. Zachary Hanlon up into 3rd place.
And there he goes. So Rayner out in front. Hanlon moves up again into third with Blythe behind him.
Phil Gadd was running in the top 10. He just spun and dropped back to 14. However, he's lucky to have it on all four wheels. I saw a crash he had in qualifying. He was basically a sitting turtle for a couple of minutes. He just sat on his roof. Probably felt like a right way up with all them being in Australia.
There's the Gadd replay we see right there. Puts it in the sand. Brings it back out.
Oh, crash for 7th. Jeremiah Morton and Aaron Farmer get together, and Morton goes round 2. I thought he'd gotten away with it, but ultimately they both end up spinning over in the second corner.
It looked like Morton poked his nose on the inside there and tried to get a little extra room. Wasn't given any, and then they got together.
We've seen races, Bill, where these drivers have gone all race long without an incident. I really don't know what's up today. I guess they all want to win in front of their home fans.
That's it. Their family, all their two-dimensional family has come out in the grandstands right now watching. Meanwhile, Peacenik out in front, 4.3 seconds. We haven't seen him do much since the season opener when Sam and I watched him run away with the show, and we said, this is the guy to beat. Ever since then, he has been, I don't want to say disappointing, but he hasn't lived up to the expectations that we expected from him after that opening debut. Rayner, Hanlon, and Blythe still battling for second position.
Yeah, give you an update here. John Peacenik as opposed to Richard Hampstead, the driver we're keeping an eye on there in 6th. The gap has increased a little bit to about 9.5 seconds now. It was 8.5 seconds. So I think Peacenik has got to begin feeling a bit safe here.
Let's go ahead and Director, drop back a couple positions to Martin Slavasi. He's running in 5th right now. He's got Richard Hampstead behind him. Maybe this is an opportunity for Hampstead to get a little more screen time than he usually does. Typically, he runs away with the race. In fact, here he comes right now. They are side by side, and Hampstead's going to get that pass made.
Yeah, I think Martin Silvazzi kind of surrendered the position a little bit once he realised it wasn't worth fighting for. Now, he hasn't been one of the biggest movers with everything that's been going on. He is up a few positions. He's in 6th after starting in 9th. But I'm sure he'll be thinking about a top 5 by the end of this race if he can keep it on the track.
Let's drop back to 7th position as we ride on board right now with Slavasi, because Shane Smith is being challenged by another driver that had a first lap incident. That's the Ford of Gary Spiral Slice Hamilton there, trying to make his way around the new Papa, Clint Smith. Love that Ford. That's the only Ford racing is Hamilton's Ford, as he tries to close in on the Mercedes.
Yeah,
and he's going to get it done on the inside.
Yeah, I think I mistook that for being a McLaren earlier, but you're right, it's a Ford, and if I'm not mistaken, he was in 14th not too long ago, and now he's just moved up to 7th, so it finally looks like he's got his car back under him, and that means that 2 cars ahead of him now is Richard Hampstead. We'll see what happens if they come together again. However, it probably won't happen because there's 8 seconds between those two right now.
Well, there's 8 seconds between them, but in theory, Hampstead could get up there running in 5th position behind Blythe, and that may slow him down. That battle's still going ahead there with Reiner, Hanlon, and Blythe, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And once again, the leader in this series seems to get no love from GSRC, as he is out in front now by 5 seconds. We ride on board with Freer in 9th, looking ahead of Shane Smith right now. Clint made up a lot of ground in the attrition of the first lap, but ever since then, they are coming around on him, and he's dropping a bit. Clint running in 8th right now. Freer looking for a way around him.
Well, we're 10 minutes into this race now, and after all that chaos at the start of this race, only 5 cars, actually 6 cars are out of a race. Well, or at least out of contention to really compete. There's 18 cars on the lead lap. Multiple laps down are Ben Darley Jr., Justin Strickland, Warren Pickering, David Trellins, TJ Brown and Joshua Rogers also, who lost the connection before the race began.
As we watch Jackson 3 right now, if you're new to this series, what we saw on the first lap, highly unusual, as Sam mentioned. Usually these guys put on a pretty good show. Hey, let's go up to second position. We have side-by-side now. That's Rayner in the kind of orange car, Hanlon on the outside. Hanlon's going to try to make it work. He gets it wide onto the grass. He's off into the beach. Grab your sunscreen because you're going to the beach. Hanlon drops a position to Riley Blythe.
Yeah, and that all kicked off. I think Mark Rayner was a little slow coming out of the Honda corner, and that allowed Zachary Hanlon to get alongside him, and then he just completely overdrove and went to Siberia, and that cost him third position. And Riley Blythe, who started in 12th and is now up to third.
We hear that Farmer had a little bit of some excitement in that cat machine. Got a little bit loose right in front of Mark Simon. Drops a position. We have it on replay. Did a nice job of keeping the car off the wall. We're right on board with him here. You'll see him sawing on the wheel.
Yeah, it's not the first time I've seen that cat machine working in the construction zones today. He's had a couple of little offs in practice and qualifying as well, so hopefully he'll soon be able to keep it on the black stuff.
Back, and maybe we can follow up on some of these cars that had that early incidents are now making their way up. Let's go to 13th position, Jeremiah Morton. He's running up, and now he's got Aaron Farmer in front of him. We'll keep an eye on him as he's working his way back up. Remember, Morton started 14th, running 13th now, so I guess that wasn't so bad after his little incident. He's back to where he started.
Oh, one of our leaders has gone off. Mark Rayner has had a hard impact with the inside wall. I think that's coming out of Siberia again, comes back on the track in front of Gary Hamilton. Hamilton has to go around him, but there is a lot of damage to the front of that 16 machine now.
Yeah, Rayner rolled it up over the embankment there and then put it up on like the second level of your split level racetrack there. Had to come down half a story. Brought the car back out and running in 7th. Not sure how healthy it is though.
Well, something we're going to see here, Bill, I'm sure now, is short pitting. A lot of drivers are going to be coming into the pits as soon as they possibly can to get their repairs, and that'll give us an indication of just how far this fuel load can go.
Let's look at third position because here comes Hampstead on Hanlon. Boy, he's knocking them off one by one. Hampstead now looking away around Hanlon. I've seen Hanlon race. Hanlon's a tough pass. My dad used to say it's like milking a rooster. Hard part starts after you catch him. And well, let's see what Hampstead can do right now because he's got Hanlon.
I still
see
think
if he can get any rooster milk. Go ahead.
I still think it's fantastic. Riley Blythe in front of these guys, running second right now after starting 12. I mean, he's probably got some of those positions on merit, but he's just been trundling along while cars have been spinning off left and right of him right now. But Hampstead, if he can get by Hanlon, will soon be on Blythe, and then he can begin running down Peisnick.
And they pay us to give our opinions here, so I'm going to apologize to the Hampstead family right now as he ducks down inside. What I worry about Hampstead is they battle side by side now. Hampstead trying to get the momentum on the outside. I think he's going to get it done. Fighting back though on the inside. No, look at the drive that he gets off. That's Hanlon fighting back. I tell you, Hanlon, that is a rooster that does not want to give up the juice. Nice job, Hanlon. Keeps it out in front as they work their way across the start-finish line. What I wanted to say, look at Hanlon take this defensive line here. This is what I talked about. Now, here comes Hampstead on the outside. Hanlon drifting over. Careful there. And he's going to defend one, and now he's going to be able to defend two. Sam, what I want to talk about with Hampstead, who will not give up this fight, is that he is so used to running out front. Sometimes I question his racecraft because he spends 90% of his race running hot laps from the lead. So it's not often that we get to see him actually have to put on a move here. And right now, Hanlon's giving all he can ask for as they work their way into, what is this is called Honda corner. That's right.
Oh, I can see what he was trying to do there. He was trying to keep on the outside of Hanlon so that he could be on the inside here. in Siberia. It didn't work out. He overdrove on the corner and that cost him time. Zach the Headless Chicken remains in 3rd position.
Yeah, we'll stay on this battle for a while because I just got a hunch that Hanlon is going to be a hard... I've seen Hanlon fight. He is a tough competitor. We're going to look at a replay of Farmer. He got into some trouble. Oh my goodness.
Not the first time, unfortunately, today.
Yeah, Farmer spending a lot of time in the crops.
Meanwhile, the battle for 3rd might be back on. It's not on right now, but Hanlon ran wide on the exit of a final turn. That pulls Hampstead back in, and I'm sure they're about to be added again.
Oh, and he gets to be... Can he make it stick? Boy, what a drive. No, he can't. He was hot. We'll go back. We'll get that on replay. And there goes Hampstead off into the beach. We'll back that up a bit. Sam, you could almost feel that coming. The drive that Hampstead got in there is like, where is he going?
Yeah, well, you'll see on the replay here, Hanlon had just ran wide on the exit of the final turn. That gave Hampstead a great tow down the front straight. They go into the first turn. Hanlon doesn't have a desired line. That costs him time on the exit of the first turn. Hampstead gets out front. He looks like he has a position, but overdrives that second corner, goes off into the beach. I almost feel that just cost him a potential win here, because he had been closing in on John Peisnick, but now I think he's simply too far back. But we'll see if he can prove me wrong.
You gotta love Zachary Hamlin. He is one tough racer. He's not going to give up that final podium spot. Just to update you, Peacenik out in front by 8.2 seconds, and that McLaren having a nice, peaceful run for Peacenik.
Yeah, now that the battle with Hampstead has decided, Zachary Hanlon can begin worrying about running down Riley Blythe for 2nd again. Last time around, Blythe was almost a second quicker, but that's because Hanlon was still battling Hampstead at the start of last lap.
Absolutely, Blythe's best friend was Hampstead there, keeping Hanlon busy. Let's look at this battle with Slavasi now and Gary Hamilton. There's that Ford making his way back up. This battle for 5th. And it looks like Hamilton's going to have the drive off in here. As they work their way back. Oh, I've seen this many times in races. They really want to get this settled before they get into Lukey Heights, and it looks like they're going to get it taken care of.
Yes, Silvazzi kind of surrendered the position there. Now, next car in front of Hamilton, Hampstead. The two Hams there, running in 4th and 5th. They came together earlier, but that Mercedes is so much bigger than the Ford. I almost think taking a Ford GT and trying to battle it with a Mercedes is like taking, I don't know, a Mini Cooper and trying to run a semi off the road.
So let's run it down here a bit for you again. Peacenik, as we talked about, way out in front. But what Sam had talked about was Riley Blythe having a great run. He's got to be shaking his head saying, what am I doing in 2nd? I started 12th. But coming now quick, now that he's got the nonsense of green eggs out of his mirrors, Hanlon is be able to run down Blythe, and I think those guys are going to be battling here pretty soon. Then you got Hampstead trying to get back up into Hanlon's battle, and then looking maybe for a little, let's not say revenge, let's call it justice, as Gary Hamilton got that car back up into 5th. And Sam, really, if you think about it, I got to get my eraser out because I scratched these guys off as potential winners. But Hamilton and Hampstead have done a great job of making up for that early mistake.
Yeah, but they're 15 seconds back now, and we've already lost a third of the race distance. There's now just 40 minutes left to go. Now, Hamilton is going faster than Hampstead, and that's not too surprising, because not only does he seem to be coping with the damage a bit better right now, but also his tyres aren't as worn. Hampstead has probably burnt off his tyres with all of that racing he was doing against Hanlon.
Yeah, let's go to this. We look right now as we... Oh, what a great camera angle there from Dougie Beard gives us. We look at that beautiful Ford. Hamilton tried to run down Hampstead. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, this battle for second isn't too far away from taking shape. I mean, there's a gap between them right now, but as they come across the line, Blythe ran of 1:29.0 that time by. Hanlon was half a second faster. He's half a second back. I'd almost say we might have a new driver in second by the time they get back around to the line.
Let's look at Mark Simon in 15th place. He just had a little bit of an off. Was able to keep it going pretty straight, brings it back out, does a nice job of merging back into traffic. Tip of the hat to Mark there for not getting in the way of those drivers. If you stay on that long enough, you can see it. We'll stay here for a minute just to show, just make this a chance to learn here. As he puts the car on the grass, you can see him be real patient. Let's go here. Mark, you're going to lose it in a minute.
And then at the end of this replay, we'll cut back up to second, where Hanlon did just take second place from Riley Blythe. He did that in Dunlop. Blythe didn't put up much of a fight.
I guess we missed that one there. That's okay. I might have jumped on that one too quick for the director there, and he went back a little far. That's all right. But a nice job keeping the car off. So Blythe has given up, or Blythe's still holding the spot. Nope, let me get caught up there. There we go. Hamlin out in front. Blythe behind him now. Sam, we're going to see if we can get the replay on this pass for second.
Yeah, not much to it. I think Hanlon kind of got his nose down the inside into Blythe heading into Dunlop, and Blythe surrendered. As a matter of fact, in the live action right now, Blythe is right behind Hanlon, but he's not going to attempt anything. He's kind of just going to try and run behind him as Phil Gadd officially retires from the race. Now, what's going to be interesting here is, can Hanlon run down Peisnick?
Yeah, we have two things that Hanlon's got to think about. He's got visions of grandeur running down Peisnick and getting the win, but he's also got to keep an eye not so much on Riley Blythe, but keep an eye on what Hampstead and Hamilton are doing, because those guys are coming as well. Your top five again, real quick. Peisnick, Hanlon now in second, Blythe in third, trying to hang on to the coattails of Hanlon. Then coming up is Hampstead and Hamilton.
I'll tell you what, Hanlon has been looking very scruffy since he's taken this second position away, putting wheels off left and right. It's almost like he's been following the driver or racing the driver all race long now. He's finally got nothing to guide him. He's learning track limits the hard way. Now, what will be interesting, in the next few minutes, everyone's going to come into the pits. Who will be the first to blink? I wouldn't be surprised if it's Richard Hampstead to get some new tyres after racing very hard in the first stint and also fix a bit of that damage, but it's not happening this time around.
And then it becomes a risk versus reward, or how much you want to pay, how many seconds do you want to let the invisible crew bang on your car to get it straightened out a little bit to try to maybe increase your speed. Every second that they take, every second that you gain from the repairs, a second you lose in the pits. You have to decide how much is, and you really don't know how better it's going to be. I wish they could tell you, say, hey, stay in here for 10 seconds, we'll make you a second faster per lap. You never know what they're going to be able to get done.
Oh, well, you saw it on your screen right there. Jackson Freer, I don't know if he was trying to break a draft there or surrender position to Clint Smith, but he went all the way to the wall. In the lap car, Aaron Farmer was way off a base over there. That could have been ugly, but they all made it through.
Farmer in that cat machine has been exciting. No, let's look at this battle here. 8th position for Freer. I think he's gotten around Clint Smith, and Clint's trying to fight back now. This is a nice battle going on. For 8th spot, Freer out in front in the dark machine, Smith behind him in the lighter colored car.
Yeah, there's still a couple groups of cars running around here, around the 10th place mark. The leaders are finally spreading out for really one of the first times this race. And Richard Hampstead is indeed the first car to take to the pits on lap 17. We're at about 25 minutes into this race. He'll be able to make a 35 minutes the rest of the way on fuel, we assume. And he'll get some repairs, get some new tyres and head back out.
Took out a cone on the way in. Now, in these GT3 cars with a 1 hour race, A lot of times the drivers decide not to change tires because the rules are you have to do fuel first and then they do the tires, and it's about 23, 24, maybe 27 seconds to change tires. So a lot of times they don't do it. I don't think he did. I think Hampstead just come out. In fact, I don't think he stayed in there for any bondo or any taping job on the car. He's back out there going to race what he's got.
We'll see how that works out for him. So, now that we've had our first couple cars come in, because Clint Smith came in too, who else is going to follow? Trying not to make the undercut work. I don't know if the undercut really plays into much effect when you don't take tyres, but we'll see who else comes into the pits and how they rejoin after the stops. Before the stops, the order was John Peisnick, Zachary Handlin, Riley Blythe, and then we had Richard Hampstead and Gary Hamilton rounding up the top 5. Let's see what's like after the stops.
Let's go to Jeremiah Morton. He just lost it. He was just talking. He was behind Aaron Farmer, and he just lost the car into the fescue. Got it back going, but he's dropping positions.
Almost had to come in together with Nathan Waddell there as he came back across the racetrack.
Looking at it right now, he just... Does he get into Farmer? Maybe he got into Farmer once there. Then the car just went right on him.
Oh, and Clint Smith just came out of the pits and got into the wall and has damaged his rear spoiler. And in fact, Riley Blythe is also off course. Riley Blythe, who had stayed incident-free all race long and avoided all of the traffic, is now losing multiple positions over the kiddie there.
Oh yeah, well he rolled it. He put it in the grass, then got it up. And then when he hit the pavement, he did a little nose. Keep an eye on this one. That's a tough hit. Everything looks good here. Then he goes up into the next level, and then whoop! He went through.
It's still going.
Yeah, went through many different types of. Went through sand, and then pavement, and then grass, and looks like AstroTurf. He went through about every kind of surface you can have there.
Well, the good news for Blythe is he hasn't pitted yet, so he should be able to come into the pits this time by and get that repaired. The bad news for Clint Smith is he had pitted, and he's actually had to come back into the pits to get the repairs. A rear spoiler, definitely an essential part of a car, a part of your rear downforce on a high-speed track like this. So that's a bad day for Clint Smith, who was looking at a good top 10 otherwise.
So the leaders of the cars who have pitted is not unexpectedly Richard Hampstead. Had a 14.7 pit stop, was in pit lane for 35 seconds, and now we see another car coming in, Riley Blythe, but we just talked about him coming in after his little excursion.
Yes, this means instead of fighting for a podium finish, Riley Blythe, after the stops are cycled through, will probably be fighting for top 10. Zachary Logan spinning meanwhile, and that's right, on pit entry. I hope no one's trying to come down pit road right now. He gets going again though. And Zachary Hanlon put a couple wheels off there, but keeps it pointing in the right direction.
Car got loose, he caught it back, went through the grass a little bit, kept it rolling. The bad news for Hampstead, what he kind of needed to see is those battles to keep going, Hanlon to be in a battle there, but with the trouble that some of that Blythe has had, he's backed out of it now. He's not part of the issue. These guys are Hanlon's out there running hot laps, so is Hamilton. Even Slavasi out there running hot laps right now. Meanwhile, Hampstead, trying to negotiate his way through traffic, has a nice clear track in front of him.
The driver who was running in 7th before the started could be thinking about a top 5 before the end, and that's Mark Ray now, even with a huge dent in the nose of that 16 machine. We saw how he got that earlier. He's just kind of riding along right now.
Yeah, Rayner was up there in 2nd before he had his issue. But we've seen people can get back from their mistakes. This has been one of those races where don't count yourself out.
Oh, and Riley Blythe, he might not even get top 10 anymore. He's gone off again. This is the 2nd time we've seen the car go off after coming out of the pits.
And he gets loose right in front of Mark Simon and our newcomer Ben Darley. Probably a lot of that, Sam. That car was up in the air. That was probably...
Looks like he actually had to take evasive action for another vehicle there. Either way, it's certainly not going to help him get a solid finish.
Yeah, you know, that was Mark Simon who actually came out. That's exactly right. Our director caught that. Mark Simon brought the car onto the track unsafely, in my opinion. And Blythe did a great job of not getting into and Simon is around again.
Of course, the reason you see all these drivers such as Mark Simon and Aaron Farmer persevering despite the issues that some of these cars towards the back or the middle of the field have had today is because of the fact that we wiped out a lot of cars on the opening lap, and we had a small field to begin with. Even if you have a horrible day today, if you could walk away with the top 15, that's you know, that's not a bad points day.
Let's go up to our leader right now, trying to put a lap on Blythe. The only mention I make this might be exciting is Blythe has had his problems, and Peacenik doesn't know that, but he just dodged a bullet. I would be careful going around Blythe right now. He's got a car that is a handful.
Alright, now, I was curious at the start, Bill, about all these cars that elected to start from the pits. Now it seems like a smart idea. We understand why they were doing it. Phillip Wallace, he didn't turn a lap in practice. He didn't turn a lap in qualifying. Granted, this is because he hasn't pit yet, but he's actually running in the top 10 right now, in 8th position.
Well, there's a lot of cars that haven't pitted. Mark Simon bringing the car in. He has it in for his first stop.
Yeah,
everybody
right.
in the... Go ahead.
Wallace could be looking at a top 10 by the end of the day here. But I've said that for a few cars today, and then they've run into trouble, so knock on wood, Ben.
I think a lot of the trouble, the drivers were talking before we went live, that the track was hot. You mentioned it in the pre-race show. It's really warm out there right now, and I think it was just a matter of they thought they could do moves that they really couldn't do.
Yeah, Richard Hampstead is the first of the drivers who have pit in 7th. So the top 6 in front of him still have to pit. And we're assuming that they'll all have to do it soon, because even the short pitters pitted at the 25-minute mark, meaning that they thought they could only do 35 minutes on fuel, which means a lot of these drivers are almost got to be running on fumes. Whatever be the case, I'm sure pit road will be busy in a couple of laps.
Yeah, nice catch there, Sam. I didn't see Richard in there. He's ahead of Phillip Wallace and Jeremiah Morden, who haven't pitted. Those guys are running 8th and 9th. But mixed up into the top 9 who haven't yet to pit is the 7th place driver, Richard Hampstead.
Oh, and the battle is now on between Zachary Hanlon and Gary Hamilton. Hamilton has caught him, and they just went by pit entry, and I would have thought Hamilton should have gone in that time by and said, hey, battling with this guy's going to hold me up, let me come in, have my pit stop, and I'll emerge from the pits in front of him. That's not what's going to happen, though. He's going to try and do this the hard way, it looks like.
Yeah, and if Zachary Hanlon is involved, it is the hard way. Honestly, I think that's the call. If you have a chance to get around Hanlon the easy way through the pits, that would be the way I would do it. Let's stay on this battle right now, because Hanlon, we know, is not quick to surrender.
Of course, if Hamilton is planning on pitting this lap, maybe we'll just ride behind him. We'll find out here. No, that's not going to be the case. Wow, is Hamilton going to surrender it to him? No, Hamilton kind of overdrove the turn a bit here, and I really don't understand this strategy of battling that's costing them time, but it might actually work for Hamilton here. It looks like he will get 2nd place.
Had to work on it through Honda, then finally got it done as they went through Siberia. Lucky for them, they get it done before they get into the dangerous Lukey Heights. So the Ford now up to 2nd, but again, where does that relationship to Hampstead, who's already made his pit stop? So that's what we have to watch when these guys are coming in. And when they do that, we'll pick up Hampstead and see how he does. We're going to assume that John Peacenik is so far out in front, unless he stops for lunch while he comes into pit lane, he's going to be able to come out in front again. His lead is 14 seconds over, well, I guess it'd be Hamilton now.
Mark Rayner pitted last time by. These top three just stayed out, as does Martin Silvazzi, who now runs in 4th place. Jackson Freer has also yet to pit. He rounds out the top 5 right now.
Hamilton and Hanlon, even with that battle, are running competitive lap times with Hampstead. See if we can give you an interval here from Hamilton back to Hampstead, if I can do that. It looks like it's about 20 seconds. That can't be right. We'll give you a better time on that. 33 seconds.
Bit of a scrap going on for 8th place on the track right now. Well, actually, it's a three-way here, actually. I think it's a three-way battle for 7th position. Jeremiah Morton, who has run into a couple of spins today, if I remember correctly. Phillip Wallace behind, who started at the back, and then Mark Rayner, who has that punch in the nose. Meanwhile, they break away from that. I think Riley Blythe has gone off course again.
The good news, as I look down there, is Rayner has already made his pit stop, I think. If my timing and scoring is correct, those guys in front of them, Wallace and Morton, still have to make one. So that's gonna dissipate here in a second. And then up at the very front of the screen, you see in the very top of the Dougie Beer camera shot there, the Aaron Farmer running in 15th spot, but they're going to try to get around. As we work in minute 22 to go.
Yeah, surprised we didn't see more cars short pit, knowing they could almost get about 40 minutes on fuel here. Oh, Mark Rayner running into more trouble there. So that will take him out of that little scrap that was going on as Jeremiah Morton actually comes into the pit.
Yeah, here's Rayner going off. This off's not going to hurt him too much in that battle, as I said, because he gets to stay out while the other two guys still have that stop to make. Rayner's had a good run after his running up in second, then ran into that big problem early on.
I think we're going to need a longer pre-race show for our next race in 2 weeks' time at Motegi, Bill, to run through all the penalties accumulated from this race.
Yeah, there have been a lot of offs here today. Every 15 offs, every 15 incidents gets you a -10. And then it even goes, if you get up to 46, you are DQ'd. And honestly, if you have 46 incidents here, you deserve to call it a day. Peacenik staying out. Hamilton staying out. Hanlon staying out.
Yeah, we're going down to the final closing moments here. And all of a sudden, this race has become a lot calmer as everyone kind of gets their strategy sorted out and works out who they're going to be fighting at the end here. I'm sure there'll be plenty of action picking up in the closing moments.
The bad news for Richard Greeneggs Hampstead is that he is not pacing as fast as Gary Hamilton. Hamilton's got that Ford flying. Hamilton was actually about a second faster that lap, and they were both clean laps from both drivers.
Yeah, you may notice when we have John Peasnick on screen there that the team name showing is Element Motorsport. They have actually changed their name. A couple of rounds ago they did it to Dynamic Sim Racing Motorsport. But still, the same guy getting it done up front right there, John Peasnick.
And Sam, they changed their colors. It was a beautiful multicolored car. Now it's just kind of a blue and white machine. Hamilton stays out one more time. Hanlon stays out.
As long as it's up front, it doesn't matter what colour it is, right? A beautiful car is the one sitting in victory lane.
Slavasi going around one more time. Go back to 5th position here. Let's see if Jackson Freer brings it in. Go ahead,
yeah,
Sammy.
and if he doesn't, Hampstead is close behind him. Now, in the long run, this isn't going to be a battle for position, because Freya still has to pit and Hampstead doesn't, but Hampstead could definitely get held up here.
Yeah, Richard's got to be saying, come on, Jackson, take the car in. Don't make me have to do this on the track. This is exactly what Richard Hampstead does not want to have to do, is we'll stay on this battle now as he gets up behind Jackson.
Now, the bogey time around here is about 30 seconds. John Peasnick has about... and Peasnick is coming in. Now, we should come out ahead of Hampstead. It's going to be Hamilton and Hanlon that we're going to have to keep an eye on with regards to Hampstead. But Peasnick is coming in. Barring catastrophe, he should still be able to win this race. Does this mean the drivers battling for second will come in? Yes, Hanlon in too. And Peasnick did overshoot his pit stall. Not that that'll cost him a win here, I don't think, but cost him a little bit of time. Martin Silvazzi also pitting from 4th. It looks like the only one of the leaders that didn't pit this time around was Hamilton.
Yeah, that Ford getting good fuel mileage. Meanwhile, keeping an eye on Hampstead, he's just working his way around the final corner right now. Let's see if Peasnick is rolling. Yeah, Peasnick just coming out of the pits right now. What we want to pick up is Hanlon, see how he done. Hanlon now starting to roll. This will be close. As Hanlon gets out, we'll see if he can get ahead.
It's no contest.
Oh, no contest. Hampstead's by him.
Yeah, Hampstead already far into the first corner, and they have to use a long pit exit here all the way down to the first turn.
Now that's got to be frightening news for Gary Hamilton, who is your leader right now, because he was running relatively close to Hanlon, and you look at the gap that Hampstead just put on. Boy, Hamilton's going to have to make it really quick.
Hampstead, meanwhile, is 12 seconds behind Peasnick, who will inherit the lead once Hamilton does come in, which is this time by. Hamilton is coming in on lap 29.
And Hampstead running in 3rd, just finishing up Siberia now, heading up to Lukey Heights. So we'll see if Gary Hamilton can get that Ford in for a quick stop and get it out with 16 minutes to go. Peasnick should easily get the lead back. Hampstead just negotiating the MG corner. Now working his way down to this final corner. Let's see if Hamilton can get rolling here. He's still in. Now he starts to roll. Hampstead just coming out of the final corner. I think Hamilton's going to get it up to speed in time. Although it is the long pit exit that we talked about. Pit exit. It is going to be close.
Hamilton's in front. My question, Bill, is does he have enough fuel? That was a very short stop.
Well, do both of them have enough fuel? Hamilton and Hampstead both taking quick stops. Hamilton stopped 14.6, Hampstead stopped 14.7. That's compared to some drivers who are... Zachary Hanlon took a 16-second stop, but he had trouble. Let's look at this battle now between Hamilton and Hampstead. They have a little history earlier on, lap 1. Let's see if they have long memories or short memories.
I think they're long enough.
Doesn't have to be that long, does it? It's still the same race.
Well, unless Hampstead is accusing Hamilton of kind of not giving him room going into the turn, I think Hampstead's got to play it a bit conservative here, considering I'd almost put the blame of a first incident on him. And that's going to be on the back of his mind if he does feel guilty for it, that, hey, if I'm going to make another move on Hamilton, I'm going to want it to be clean. It's kind of hard to make a clean pass around here, though. You do have to be aggressive about them.
So, if there was a Manufacturers' Championship, it would be interesting because Peasnick has the McLaren out in front. Hamilton's got the Ford.
What? I'm sorry, what is going on between Jeremiah Morton and Aaron Farmer? Aaron Farmer was a lap down and was not making it easy for Morton to go by, and then kind of drove into the side of him. I don't know if there's a big argument going on between those two.
Yeah, Morton tries to take it on the outside. Then, my goodness, yeah, then Farmer... Not sure, maybe it's a matter of Farmer trying to be really polite, but what it ended up doing is he ended up being really annoying. Boy, I just can't, Aaron, you gotta, unless there's some history we don't know about, we're right on board here with Morton. So what he tries to do, Sam, he tries to go around the outside first, and look at, that's kind of a defensive line that Farmer takes.
Peasnick's ran into trouble. I'm not sure how, but Hamilton is only 2 seconds behind him right now. And Hampstead is only 2 seconds behind Hamilton. All of a sudden, top 3 cars are covered within 4 seconds.
Peasnick spun it in the final corner of this lap. Final corner, coming back out onto the main straight. He looped it around right in front. If you want to get a good view of it, go get it on card with Nathan Waddell. Right in car in front of Waddell.
Yeah, Nathan Waddell, who was 9th, 1 lap down at the time, or almost off of a lead lap. We only have 10 cars on the lead lap right now. I think it was a lap before this one, maybe on the replay.
Maybe it's too far back, as our director's trying to hunt it down. We were late finding it.
Yeah, you so go back about another 40 seconds from the end of a previous lap.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to get that far back. We were late getting there. Sorry about that. We caught that a little late. So let's update you where we are. Peasnick now with a 2-second lead. Still should be safe enough, unless he's warmed up those tires looping around. But Hamilton can see him, and Hampstead can see Hamilton.
3 different manufacturers, all running in the top 3 spots. You can't throw a blanket over them, but let's see if it gets that way. They're completing lap 32. I mentioned I thought this would be about a 40 lap race. We're getting into the closing 7, 8, 6 laps here, maybe even.
Mercedes running, looks like 3, 4, 4th, 5th, and 6th. 7th as well. Mercedes doing real great. Boy, there are some damaged Mercedes out there, though. Jeremiah Morton has a real crumpled up car.
And to throw another factor into this battle, there's a battle for 9th place going on the tail end of a lead lap. Nathan Waddell is only a couple of seconds ahead of Phillip Wallace. Now they're broken up enough for now that John Peisnick should be able to get by them without any issues. But if they do begin battling, that could be cause trouble for Gary Hamilton and Richard Hampstead behind.
Gotta pull for Phillip Wallace. If you remember right, he came in late, didn't get in a practice lap or a qualifying lap. I believe started from the pits. We don't even think he took the grid. Currently last car on the lead lap right now, but we'll stay on this because here comes Peasnick right behind him, about to put Wallace a lap down. Peasnick can't mess around too long here with lapping this car because it's down to 1.8 seconds now back to Hamilton.
Riley Blythe has unfortunately retired from the race and he's flashing his headlights. He's letting Wallace know, hey, please get out of the way, please. And that's what happens.
Well, looking for the high beams is Gary Hamilton right now because he does not want to take up any time with Wallace either.
Hamilton was the fastest of the 3 leaders last time around by almost half a second.
Yeah, I think Hamilton has been faster of all those 3 guys. Now, in Phillip Wallace's defense here, you may want to say, well, why doesn't he just pull over? Remember, he's got that battle that I was just talking about with Nathan Waddell for 9th spot. He'd like to get that, so while he'd be happy to cooperate with these leaders and let them by, he doesn't want to do it if it costs him too much time. Here comes Hamilton. And the interval is 1.3 seconds now. Hamilton is flying with 9 seconds to go. I think we're going to have a close finish here.
Two cars off course again, Aaron Farmer and Jeremiah Morton. Oh, let's see if they wreck each other again. But this is, there is a feud going on here.
Oh my goodness, no, it's more than a feud. It's homicide. Aaron Morton needs to go to the penalty box. Oh, I'm sorry, Aaron Farmer. Well, they've been together so much, we combined their names into one. I apologize if it's a hardware error or something like that, but I don't know what's going on here.
Oh, that's the same thing Hamilton's going to be saying right now as we watch a replay of this warfare going on. Phillip Wallace has not moved over for Hamilton. This is costing him time to the leader, John Peisnick. Now he finally does, but he did hold Hamilton up in the first couple of turns there. Hamilton's got to forget about that. He's just got to run down Peisnick now.
I think plenty of time for Hamilton to get there. I'd really be surprised if he doesn't. He's been running faster laps for quite a while. The car, maybe that Ford, better on the tires than the McLaren. They have pulled away from the Mercedes. I don't think that Hampstead has much chance of getting up there. Looks like the streak may end at 5 in a row.
Unless the top two take each other out.
Yeah. With 7 to go, we'll put our attention up here in the front right now. And Peisnick has some more work in front of him now. He's still got some jobs to do. He's got Waddell to get around and Morton. Look at Morton has fallen back after that incident that he had.
Alright, the leaders are about to cross the line with a little under 7.5 minutes to go. It takes 1.5 minutes to get around here. So we're looking at about 5 laps, I would say, left in this race.
Interval of 1.6. Poor Nathan Waddell doesn't realize what the battles that Jeremiah Morton has gone through. Jeremiah not going to be in the best of moods right now.
Yeah, Morton running several seconds off a pace. Hopefully it won't be that much of a fight, or else this will get ugly in a hurry.
Yeah, that's the leader. See, now this is, look at Peisnick is caught up in this battle that these guys are putting on for 9th. Actually for 8th. Now Peisnick gets around Morton. He's still got to get around Waddell. But look what that has done. That has allowed Hamilton to get right in there.
Yeah, but now Hamilton's being held a bit up by Morton.
Jeremiah knows he's in between the two leaders. Let's see if he can find a way to let those guys by. He really doesn't.
Well, there's really nowhere to pull over there. The racing line... Oh, and Hamilton gets loose because of it. I can't blame Morton there. I mean, the racing line goes from left to right, from left to right. It's practical suicide to try and let a leader by at that point in the second. Boy, this is...
He could take the outside line now. He could... Yeah. All right, maybe he lives there. Give him the benefit of the doubt, though. Salty lets him by. But any chance that Peisnick had of being around, of Hamilton running him down, that really cost me. I had a hard time with Morton. 1.4 is the interval.
I'm sorry, Bill. Throw another factor into this. Aaron Farmer has just exited the pits in front of all of this. The leaders will go by.
Let's stay on Farmer Morton. Because I know we want to follow the leaders, but it's just fun here. Farmer is now found Salty again. There they are, side by side, and...
Taking place right in front of Phillip Wallace. The lap down goes by. That will give Wallace a position to Morton, and Hampstead trying to stay out of all the trouble here in 3rd place.
Hampstead makes contact. That was with Wallace. Morton is really exciting back here for 9th. At the back of the lead lap and at the front of the lead lap.
Yeah, talking about the front of the lead lap, Hamilton, even though he got held up a lot there, has run Peisnick back down. It's under a second now.
And with just over 4 minutes to go, yeah, it is under a second, and there's nobody between them. They're coming up on the wild card driver of Ben Darley, running 16th. 10 laps down, Ben. I don't want to even see you close to the leaders here.
Yeah, he's been in the wars a bit today, and he is a teammate of one of the leaders here, so... As long as he keeps his pace up, he shouldn't play a factor. 4 minutes left to go.
Oh, here
Less
comes
than a second between the leaders.
Hamilton's got the pace through the final corner and down the main straight. That Ford just gobbles up the lead. He is right there now. Piesnick's going to really have to work to keep this victory, as Hamilton has made a great comeback from that early spin. Started on the lead lap on the front row, fell way back, and has got back up there now.
Yeah, I think he was down at 14th at some stage. Boy, if your last name is Hamilton and you ever have a son, you should turn them into a racing driver. It seems to turn out pretty good.
Just to correct myself, Hamilton started in the third spot, inside of row 2. Top 3 drivers, though, started 2, 3, and 1. They're back up there again as they work their way around. Darley, nice job. Save him a bear club. Backmarkers United meeting. Nice job back there done by Ben. 3 minutes to go.
I've just got to throw the disclaimer now. If you have a daughter with the last name Hamilton, they could definitely become a racing driver too.
That a boy, Sam. Welcome to the 21st century. Piesnick around that final corner, 7/10 of a second. We're going to focus our attention now, unless aliens land somewhere in the track. We're going to spend these last 2.5 minutes focusing on the leaders right now. John Piesnick out in front by 7/10 of a second. Gary Hamilton trying to run him down. This is a battle for the lead. The streak of Richard, Green Eggs, and Hampstead is over. He's going to finish third unless these two drivers get together up in front. Piesnick now being gobbled up by Gary Hamilton. Hamilton is right there. He's got to figure out where to do it. And how many laps does he have left to do it with? We start doing the math.
I think it's 2, Bill. They cross the line with just a little less than 3 minutes to go. I think they'll cross the line with 1 minute left to go. Hopefully that should bring out the white flag if the iRacing time system works correctly. So when they get around to the start-finish line, that will be the start of a final lap. Let's begin talking about overtaking opportunities here. Where are they? Well, there aren't really. An overtaking around this circuit is really a sequence of turns you have to set up. But I would say the run down into into Honda out of Stoner is definitely a potential overtaking opportunity. Let's see what Hamilton can do. They're only a couple of turns away from beginning what I think will be the final lap.
Having watched Hamilton race for a while here, I think his best shot is going to be early in this lap, getting a great drive off this final corner. This is where that Ford can really eat up the lead. He gets a great tow. We'll keep an idea of where Piesnick going to go. Is he going to be defensive? Hamilton has a run. He's gaining on him. Piesnick is going to surrender the inside. Here comes Hamilton into 1. He decides better of it. That might have been his opportunity. That might have been the only chance he has, as now they work their way through 1 as they head up into 2. Hamilton going to look for somewhere to go. I guess Sammy might be able to try it into Honda. If not, I guess he's going to have to try it going into Lukey Heights.
Yeah, what might happen here is Piesnick might defend the inside of Honda, which will give Hamilton the outside, but that will be the inside of Siberia. Let's see if that's happened. Well, Hamilton's just too far back. He can't do anything here.
No, the Ford just isn't as good through the twisty sections where he makes up his time as down the straight. I think that might have been his opportunity going into 1. I'm not sure if he's going to have another one because that McLaren is so good on the backside. Now they start to get those RPMs back up again. Let's see if Hamilton can make a run down the straight as he did before. There was a little bit of action back behind. We're not going to worry about it. We'll stay on this one. It doesn't look like Hamilton's going to be able to get there.
I believe this is the final lap, and if it is, Piesnick has won this race, I'm pretty sure. Still a great race by Hamilton, if that is the case, from going from 14th to 2nd. White flag is out.
They work their way around the final corner. Let's see if there's enough time. Here comes the Ford. Does he have enough time to get there? No, I don't think so.
What happened with Piesnick there? Boy, it's a photo finish.
Yeah.
With Piesnick taking it. Yes, the race is over here. The checkered flag has flown. Piesnick has won, but what happened in the final turn?
Well, Piesnick, that's his Achilles heel, is that 4th corner. That's what, or the final corner there. And boy, Hamilton made a run at it. Hanlon's going to get 4th position. Hampstead in 3rd. Silvassi comes across in 5th. We'll stay with it with all the lead laps cars wrapping their way up. Hey, Mark Rayner had an off early. Started 6th, going to finish 6th. And then our final car on the lead lap. Let's give him a little love here as he has a few more corners to negotiate. Jackson Freer started 11th, up 4 spots. Is going to bring it home in 7th. An exciting race. Things settled down, Sam, after the first lap. We're watching Jackson now coming across the start-finish line. 7th position, last car on the lead lap. What we're going to do right now is go to break. Don't go away, though, because these interviews are going to be interesting. This is the Global Sim Racing Channel. Stay with us in a few minutes for the post-race show. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of the iRacing Driver Association GT3 Series. This is round 8, 7? I should know that. I lost my notes here. An exciting race no matter the round. Let's run down our final standings here. John Piesnick was able to start outside of row 1, bring it home in the lead. It was a nice battle with Gary Hamilton in the Ford. Hamilton made a great comeback from an early incident. Richard Green Eggs and Hampstead brings it home in third, ends his winning streak at 5. Zachary Hanlon and Martin Slavasi go 4th and 5th. The back half of the top 10, Mark Rayner, great comeback for him. The front of the car damaged. Started 6, but way back, comes home in the same position he started in. Jackson Freer, Nathan Waddell, and rounding out the top 10 is, I'm wrong on that, Phillip Wallace is 9th, rounding out the top 10, Jeremiah Salty Morton. Sam?
Yeah, Jeremiah Morton in a bit of a war with Aaron Farm at the end there, but Nino Littell was also a lap down in 11th place ahead of Zachary Logan. Then you go back 2 laps, was Mark Simon, who was off a few times. He finished 13th. Riley Blythe had a possible top 5 going in the first half of the race. Things fell apart from him in the second half of the race. Aaron Farmer in 15th place. We'll see how things go down. He accumulated 37 incident points in this race, ahead of wildcard entry Ben Darley Jr. in 16th. Clint Smith, the league organiser, also another driver having the top 10 running in the first half. Things fell apart from him in the second half. He finished 17th. Phil Gaddin 18th, Scott Tamlin and Justin Strickland round out the top 20, and since we only got 4 cars left, here they are: Warren Pickering, David Drellins, TJ Brown, and the did not start was Joshua Rogers. Bill.
And just to follow up on what Sam was talking about, Jeremiah Morton and Aaron Farmer combined for 63 incident points. While it was exciting to watch, for the sake of our director's hairline, let's see if we can tone that down a bit for the next race. Okay, it's time for interviews, and we're going to go to the replay. You know, there was a big crash earlier in the race, in the very beginning, that we weren't able to cover. You're going to watch this now. It involves 4 drivers. Strickland, Justin Strickland's going to be involved in this one. David Jellings, Warren Pickering, and also I believe Jackson Free are all involved in this. Watch this early on as they just get the green flag. That first lap was so exciting we weren't able to get much of this going on. Look at it, even contact here before the green. Then you see the car going up through the middle. Then the 4 of those guys peel off, and all 4 of them off into the wall. The yellow McLaren there. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, one of the drivers who obviously got through this was Phillip Wallace, because he started from the pits. So just got an update. He actually had a 15-second penalty during this race. He finished 9th. He would have finished 8th had that not happened.
As we watch one more time on board here, who are we on board with, Director? Logan. Oh, it looks like we're on board with Logan. Get a good view of this from back behind. You see these cars going off. Now through corner 1. And there you have it. Oh, and there's some more excitement. There's some more. That's the second battle going on, the second incident up there. There were 3 big ones on that early lap. Yeah, we lost 10 drivers in the first lap, got involved in them. A battle of 4, and then a contact of 3, and another contact of 3. 10 all together. An exciting first lap. Very unusual for this series to be so aggressive early. Now we'll go ahead and see if we can talk to our winner. We'll let Sam talk to John Piesnick. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, John, at the start of the season, we thought we'd see you in victory lane a lot more often. It's been a while, but you're back. How does it feel?
Hey, thanks guys. Yes, it has been a while, unfortunately, between drinks. Don't like to bring that up too often, but yeah, no, mate, it's great to be back. I worked pretty hard over the last couple of days to get the car reasonable for tonight. And yeah, very happy with the result, mate. Love the track so much, so just very stoked to come out with the result, mate.
Now, we know you did have one hiccup during the race. You had the spin. I believe that was the only incident points of the race, coming out of a final turn in the closing stages there that cost you a lot of time. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, yeah, just with the McLaren, like, to be honest, this is not its preferred track. Just with the high-speed corners, it has some little issues, and yeah, just for me, turn 1 and the final turn are its weaknesses, and just on the last turn, just, I suppose I just lost a little bit of concentration, and just the rears spooled up a little bit just under acceleration, and unfortunately I just couldn't save it in time. So but I was pretty lucky just to do a 360 and keep going. So yeah, and by that stage the tyres were pretty gone, so it was just a matter of just just easing the throttle on and being real gentle. But yeah, so it happens, but I'm just very lucky to get away with it, and just having that gap there saved me a bit.
Well, you probably didn't realise this out front, but there was a very chaotic race going on behind you, and at different points during the race there were different drivers in second running you down. All three that finished in second, fourth, and second, third, and fourth: Gary Hamilton, Richard Hampstead, and Zachary Hanlin. Which driver were you keeping your eyes on the most?
Yeah, I didn't have too much idea what was going on behind. After the first 2 laps, I just I saw that obviously there was a gap there, so I just head down and go. But honestly, yeah, just keeping an eye on what Richard and Zach were doing, because I wasn't aware. To be honest, I wasn't looking too far down the order what was happening. Once I saw Gary coming up, I really to be honest, the Ford has better pace here, and he probably was quicker if he had a cleaner race. So yeah, I knew he was going to come. So yeah, just they were all quick, mate, and there's not much time between either of us. So if anyone makes a mistake, they'll surely capitalise on it.
Well, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to Motegi. Do you think you can ride this wave of momentum and pick off some more wins?
Well, I definitely hope so. There's some tracks coming now that are going to help me out a little bit with this car. So I'm looking forward to that. So, and I haven't been given the car as much love as I'd like to, as I've been driving some others. So from now on, I will knuckle down a little bit and spend some more time in it. And yeah, it's just with the upcoming tracks at Motegi and Imola. They should suit the car a little bit better. So yeah, looking forward to that, and hopefully we can just keep this momentum going. I'm not really in the championship hunt, so I'm just here for a bit of fun now and trying to rattle some feathers and see how far I can get back up the leaderboard.
Alright, well thanks for coming to speak with us, John, and congratulations on your win.
Thank you very much.
So that was our winner, John Peisnick. I'll hand it back to you, Bill. We've got more interviews.
Yeah, I'm going to run down our second place finisher here. Gary Spiral Slice Hamilton. Gary in the Ford. You got a copy?
G'day, fellas.
Hey, great race. Exciting all the way through. I want to talk about 2 things. I want to talk about early on, and I want to talk about very, very late. Let's go ahead to the beginning. What's your take on that incident that you had on lap 1 with Hampstead?
Yeah, look, that was a little bit of a pity. I went back, had a look, and obviously, Richie's very good. He's very quick. However, I think that was just a little bit of a mistake on his part. It looks like he actually caught the curb, and unfortunately got into the back there. So, yeah, I was a little bit hot-headed at that time when I got spun, but because off the start, I started 4th. We had a really good start there. Managed to get Richie up the inside on the left-hander, and then also managed to get Zach just after Honda there. So straight up to 2nd. So I was actually punted out of 2nd, but yeah, look, it wasn't intentional, but like I say, I think it was probably also caused by the corner entry speed differences in the car. The Ford really struggles on the corner entry, whereas the Merc is really strong there. So I'd say Richie was caught out by that, and also just catching the curb.
Well, I've learned on my clipboard to take notes in pencil, because I had ridden you off after that. My goodness, you had fallen way back. Then we watched you work your way through the field. You finally got up there, you did your pit stop, and then it looked like you were safely in 2nd. Then Peacenik does a spin, and all of a sudden you're in the hunt for the win.
Yeah, I think John was just he was just showing off a little 360. You keep going,
Well, let's talk about that last lap. I really thought the Ford's best chance was down the straightaway. That seemed to be where you were the strongest, coming out of that final corner into 1. You had a chance at it. You didn't take the bite of the apple going into 1 on that final lap. Then it was really hard to find a place after that.
Yeah, the race car for once for me in that car was absolutely amazing. The Dynamic Sim Racing Ford there, the set it worked on, it was a bit of an unknown into the race, but it was just gold. I could just catch anyone and pass them. So, that was really good at the end there. I mean, John had heaps of pace. Yeah, sure, I was catching, but, teammate, he's in the points where I'm not really. It would have been risky, so, to be honest, yeah, we talked it up, and it wasn't worth the risk as much of the show as it might have been.
Was that this? Just to follow up quickly on the very end, actually coming to the checkered flag. Were you guys kind of get a picture shot there, or were you guys still battling? It looks like you both kind of slowed down for each other.
Yeah, we did.
Okay,
gotta make it look good, don't you?
All right.
That's a big shout out to Dynamic Sim there. They've started a big thing here in Australia and producing some really, really high quality bits. So really like to say a big shout out to them, and hopefully they got a nice screenshot out of that one.
But congratulations on the win. Let's see if we can get the Ford into victory circle soon. Thanks a lot, Gary.
Thanks, fellas.
Okay, Sam, you got one more for us?
Well, it looks like we've got our third place finisher, Richard Hampstead, still available for an interview. Richard, do you have a copy?
Sure do. How's it going?
That's alright. You got involved in a bit of an incident there on the first lap, but came back to salvage a third place finish. How would you describe your race?
Scrappy, I would say. I was reasonably happy with qual to get on pole. John set a pretty good lap time, and it was pretty hard to beat. I spent all session trying to beat it and just nicked it at the end, and got an awful start, got mugged into turn one. I think I had too much downforce on, possibly. Well, not really actually, but and then just a struggle on cold tyre, so lost a few spots, and then I tried to follow Gary through on Zach Hamlin, and just took too much speed in, and unfortunately tagged him in the rear, so sorry to him for that. And then when I was on the infield, Jeremiah Morton unfortunately looked like he lost control and crashed into me, so I had a bit more damage from that as well. So after that I was just trying to pick up the pieces, and third is not too bad, I reckon, after a race that I had.
Yeah, I just went back and watched the replay and saw that late incident there with Jeremiah Morton, where he kind of had the second incident on his own and got into you. Because you had that damage on your car, and because you burned off your tyres in the first run, it seemed, battling Zachary Handlin, did you ever consider taking tyres or changing up your strategy during your pit stop?
Not before the stop, but after the stop I realised it probably wouldn't have been a bad idea to at least try it and see what happened. I probably reckon I probably still would have finished third, but it's hard to know.
Yeah, well, you did still finish third. I want to hand it over to Bill here to ask you a couple of questions, because I think he had a couple of things he wanted to ask you. So, Bill.
Oh, I was wrapping up here, ready to go, but real quick, what was your take? I wasn't paying that close attention. What was your take on that opening lap incident there? Did Sam ask you about that?
Yeah, my fault, definitely. Just too much speed and trying to slow down, but just managed to tap Gary in the rear, unfortunately.
Well, you made a nice comeback, and the streak ends with 5 in a row. Let's see if we can start a new one as we move along.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm happy with the last, the first part of the season's gone very well for me, so if I can achieve anything like that, I'll be very happy.
Okay, thanks a lot. And there's our third place driver today, making the saying true that you can't win them all, although he was close to doing that, Richard Green Eggs and Hampstead. That's going to wrap it up for us. We'd like to do a couple thanks here. Pay attention now, because this is the people that make this possible. Thanks to the want to thank everybody at the iRacing Driver Association for organizing the series and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. Thanks to Screw Gamers and Kart Action Media and Zanardi Course Australia for sponsoring the broadcast. Thanks to the company's equipment and software that you see on the screen right now that we use on the broadcast. The original music that you heard on today's broadcast is thanks to Eric Eckelman, Casey Lalonde. Go ahead to the locations on the screen right now. Download some of their digital music. You won't be sorry. Thanks to my mate Samuel Ryman, our director Joe Peak, Dougie Beer for his camera locations. A special shout out to Amjad Yaman, who came in to do a little bit of extra help here to get this broadcast on the air. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, your best bet is globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel. The next race for the iRacing Drivers Association is in 2 weeks, August 17th, for round 8 from Motegi. Oh, I love Motegi. And GSRC will be there to bring you all the actions. For details about all the upcoming events, go to globalsimracingchannel.com. And now that all the housekeeping is out of the way, it's time for us to go have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race hard, race clean, and we'll see you on the track.